A newly released federal climate report suggests it's extremely likely that rising temperatures are caused by humans. Hundreds of scientists from more than a dozen federal agencies assessed more than 1,000 studies to produce the report.
Pollan's use of rhetorics and why bother. Why Bother is an article written by Michael Pollan about climate change and the effects we as humans have on it. Helping with climate change, according to Pollan, is something that takes more than changing a light bulb. It would take a good percent of humans across the globe making the change in lifestyle as well. Pollan uses good rhetoric by asking rhetorical questions throughout the article to make you question the true meaning of helping out with the battle of climate change. The purpose of this essay is to discuss the rhetorics used in the article, like ethos, logos, and pathos, to decide whether it is worth it to work to save the environment from global warming. Although Pollan wants to be seen as a credible source, it is difficult to see him as such with no background as to why this cause is important to him. He should give background to us, the readers, like, does he work in the field that this article is concerning? Or does he know someone in the field? Pollan uses ethos, which is an ethical appeal, to convince us about his credibility throughout the article by mentioning many famous people, such as Jimmy Carter, who was the President of the United States, and Ed Begley Jr., who was an environmental activist for using exercise equipment for power and other tactics. Mentioning people who are known helps with credibility for Pollan because it helps shows that he has done research on the topic to be able to mention those persons and their stance on it. While Pollan uses the mention of people, he also states historical dates to point back to when things were happening with the topic. 30 years ago, Wendell Berry, the Kentucky farmer and writer, argued that the environmental crisis of the 1970s, Pollan 116. Pointing back to a specific time period is powerful because it gives us the opportunity as readers to go and do our own research. Pollan wants us to see him as a credible source, so he gives us facts with points from historical times, and opinions with logical reasoning behind it. Although Pollan gives us facts and opinions, it is not enough to know if he is a legit, credible source, seeing as though everyone can have opinions and look up facts. Pollan uses pathos, which is an emotional appeal, by mentioning effects of our lifestyle on the environment. Pollan uses quotes and power statements to say that a change has to be made, but it won't be effective if everyone isn't participating. So what exactly would I have to show for all my trouble? Pollan 114. This question presses an issue that a lot of people are asking. One person alone cannot make a difference. Like Pollan states, it would be like a drop in the bucket if only he was planting gardens and riding a bike to work. Pollan uses a quote that states, personal choices, no matter how virtuous, cannot do enough. It will also take laws and money. This is powerful because it shows that although we as a community can come together and plant gardens and other activities, it would not be power enough without the help of the government officials and money. Along with money and legislation comes technology. He states that we as humans are more concerned with the technological aspect of things, so we're not actually serious about the change in the environment, which can end up detrimental to us as the human race. At first glance, Pollan uses words that come together to make it seem like he doesn't care about the effects we have on everything. But in all actuality, he does care. If Pollan didn't care about the environment, Why Bother would have never been written. Pollan uses logos, which is a logical appeal, by giving us quotes from scientists, authors, and past presidents, while also giving us a chart of people who think global warming is an issue. Along with quotes and charts, Pollan uses rhetorical questions to create an opportunity to create an argument and give readers the chance to think about the topics. Pollan uses the chart to create an argument that we don't care about the environment as much as the other countries, stating, it's hard to argue with Michael Spencer in a recent New Yorker piece on carbon footprints when he says, personal chances, no matter how virtuous, cannot do enough. Pollan 116. Michael Spencer is a staff writer for The New Yorker and a national science reporter, which help with the logical aspect because we as Americans seem to trust any person who works in the science field. Pollan also uses logic by giving us reasons as to why we should plant a garden, which is a common activity in this article that represents most activities that can save the environment. Pollan gives us a logical example of what planting a garden can do for us. But there are sweeter reasons to plant that garden. Chances are your garden will re-engage you with your neighbors. You have reduced the power of the cheap energy mind by personally overcoming its most deliberating weakness. Pollan 119. This gives us a logical reason to plant a garden. It tells us that we can reconnect as a community because we would need each other for tools and tips, while also saving the environment. The purpose of this essay is to discuss the rhetorics used in the article like ethos, logos, and pathos to decide whether it is worth it to work to save the environment from global warming and climate change. Pollan used ethos by mentioning famous people but failed to mention who he was in accordance to the topic of global warming. The author used pathos by his language skills and mentioning our effects on the environment. Pollan used logos by mentioning the source and topics that could create discussion or arguments for us as Americans.